Hello, happy Monday, happy Tuesday to everyone in World Merit. Happy January and a happy New Year's 2016. This is the first World Merit member conference call for 2016. I hope you all sticking to your resolutions, especially your commitments to the Sustainable Development Goals. Here at World Merit, we focus on each development goal, and this month will be about quality education. I am known as Roger Whirlwind, and I am the Vice President of World Merit USA. World Merit USA is located in Brooklyn, New York. So this is our lovely offices for the time being, and I am your avatar for today. I hope if you're on the platform, you know I post a lot of videos about each sustainable development goal, as well as a lot of information that you should know because as we go on this 15-year journey to eliminating some of the biggest problems, such as extreme hunger, extreme poverty, nuclear weapons, as well as improving our educational system. Without a quality education, it will be very difficult to come out of extreme poverty in this world today. I'm an author and an activist, a member of Global Zero, the international movement for the elimination of nuclear weapons. Our goal is to eliminate nuclear weapons by 2030, and we have some real action goals to accomplish in the next 2 years, in the next 5 years, but we definitely need the international community support to accomplish that. As you may have heard of the Iran deal last year, we was lobbying for that cause, but that also it wasn't just led by the U.S. It required the help of other countries such as the U.K. and China and Russia, some of the nuclear states. That Iran deal was one of the greatest accomplishments in the non-proliferation movement, and possibly one of the greatest accomplishments, and the elimination of nuclear weapons will be one of the greatest accomplishments in history for peace and justice. I believe that it is achievable by 2030, and however, nuclear weapons wasn't included in the SDGs. Even much more reason why we need to be involved and pay attention to this issue. There was about 70,000 nuclear weapons about 20 years ago. Now we're down to about 15,000. It might be the hardest 15 to eliminate, but we can do it together. We have the tools. The only barrier is political. So I will be creating projects that will be shared on World Merit that hopefully you can all engage and get your voice out. But you can also go to our website, World Merit, globalzero.org, and pledge your support for our international movement. I appreciate that, and I just wanted to plug that real quickly, like I will do in every conference call. But that's a little bit about what I'm doing tomorrow. I have a film screening of a movie called Countdown to Zero. When I saw that, then I was completely committed to this movement. It's about the facts, about nuclear weapons, and how that is the most dangerous threat to humanity and civilization every day. And I mean every day. So if you get a chance to see that movie, it's called Countdown to Zero. And it's about the nuclear weapon crisis and danger. Right now, we have about 15,000 nuclear weapons that are on ready to launch status, meaning that in about 3 minutes, we could have a nuclear war by accident. Most of the near incidents in the past happened by accident, and it's more likely of an accident to occur than an actual war intentional war breaking out, especially in this age of cyber terrorism. And hopefully later this year there will be a movie called The Man Who Saved the World, about a soldier who, when his computers were saying that the U.S. were shooting at Russia, his gut and God told him that there was an error. And so he did not give the command to fire back. So the world could have ended on September 28, 1983, but it didn't, because there is a mutually assured destruction policy that these nuclear weapons states have currently. So This is something that I want to just constantly remind you that how this is just as important as climate change, because a nuclear incident definitely will affect the climate, will change the climate, as well as send hundreds of millions, if not billions of people into poverty and hunger and all these other issues. So just one nuclear incident can change the world as we know it today and affect all of these sustainable development goals that we are so committed to ending. So we definitely need your support. Please go to the website, globalzero.org. I'm going to, currently on World Merit, we have a few new programs that we would like your participation on. As you will see, we are focused on the Sustainable Development Goals, but our latest is a global bake sale. So as you may have known, I think it would be best if World Merit invites you to take a bite of this delicious and incredible, meaningful international event taking place on March 31st. We encourage you to take part in this epic bake-off, during which World Merit members from all over the world will bake and sell all kinds of pastries and try to make this the biggest ever bake-off, as well as to fundraise money for the World Merit charity to help World Merit tackle the UN Sustainable Development Goals. This is also a great opportunity for Merit 360 delegates to help fundraise your fees. So that is our latest opportunity that was released today. You will receive 500 points and a great way to start the New Year's for your campaign and for your country office. Also, we have the World Merit Valentine's Project. This has been a tradition that has been started where we send Valentine cards to someone who could help World Merit change the world. And for this to work, we need to send at least 1,000 cards. And this year we will be sending it to Emma Watson, who is an advocate for education, I think for UNICEF ambassador. As you may, some of you may not know who Emma Watson is. She is the beloved UK resident and star of Harry Potter, the brightest witch of all time, next to Harry Potter. Hermione Granger. I think that's what many of those who grew up with that series may have known her as. And now she has she has used her childhood experience to be an advocate for quality education and an ambassador for UNICEF. So we will be sending out these cards to her. So I hope that you participate in this campaign. Before we begin our panel conversation about quality education, I wanted to just talk to members briefly about the fundraising campaign. We at World Merit have a lot of members who have concerns about their travel visa. So World Merit has just sent out a letter of support for you to take to your embassies. But because it is obtaining a U.S. visa is a challenge in so many countries, I would have a quick suggestion is that you write a letter of interest to your embassy before you actually apply. A lot of members on World Merit have expressed, there are a lot of international opportunities, high-profile opportunities, internships, fellowship programs that actually ask you to submit a letter of interest before you send in your application. A lot of these organizations like to know who you are and your angle, I guess, when it comes to applying. And I would recommend the same with something as applying for your visa if you have some real concerns about your eligibility or the probability of you getting a U.S. visa. Send a letter of interest now and try to build a relationship with the embassy. So when you do submit your application, they are kind of familiar with who you are. In this letter of interest, share them the Merit 360 brochure as well as the links to World Merit, possibly the Malala video that where she attended our World Merit Day event in 2014, and just let them know that we are a well-respected and established organization, and that also that Sustainable Development Goal number 17 is about quality education. I mean, partnership for the goals, excuse me. SDG 17 is partnership for the goals. So this is their opportunity to actually support the Sustainable Development Goals by granting you this visa. Just a suggestion, but definitely I recommend strongly to send a letter of interest to your embassy before you send in your application for the visa. Additionally, for your fundraising campaign pages, I recommend that you all include the brochure if you haven't done that. Send some links, as well as talk about the specific SDG that you are going to be fundraising for. Fundraising, this is not going to be the first time you're fundraising for your project. You're going to continuously, for the next 15 years, just like every other charity, every other NGO, fundraising is a core component. So as well as bringing awareness to the SDGs, to the public, to your sponsors and donors, is an integral part to this experience. So please include as much vital information on your fundraising page as possible. I cannot stress that enough. I think that you have a responsibility to, and it shows a lot of respect for your sponsors if you actually communicate as much details about what the Sustainable Development Goals are, the Sustainable Development Goal you are going to be working on, and give them an idea, a concept of the type of project you will be developing. I don't expect you to have all the answers now, but I think it is very important to doing outreach to share as much vital information as possible. I would take some suggestions, go through the Total Giving website and look at some of what the other successful campaigns are doing and see what type of information they share. And you would want to share that type of information about a little bit of history of World Merit, about the type of projects that World Merit offers currently. I think that those are current information that some of your sponsors and donors would like to know more about the organization that they are giving to, especially if you're doing outreach to people outside of your extended circle of friends and family and local community. So please consider those suggestions. I think that that is vital to a successful campaign. But definitely once you get to Merit 360, you will learn more strategies and techniques to running successful projects and campaigns in the next 15 years. So we will begin our conference call now. I think I discussed everything. So we will begin our panel discussion. We have two great, amazing women from the United Kingdom, the home of World Merit. It would have been great to have someone from World Merit headquarters with us this year for this call. However, I didn't invite them. So it's a part of me. Just thinking about how great these calls are going to be. And I hope that you members join us every month and check out some of the interviews that we also had last month, at the beginning of this month, with World Merit Indonesia. So follow us on World Merit. I hope you're following our social media at World Merit USA page and on Twitter. And on World Merit USA, you'll find the link to the World Merit Indonesia chapter. But right now, we have members from World Merit UK chapter, and also for our professionals and have much experience in quality education. So I want to introduce Miss Ali Rice and Miss Sanskruti. Please tell us your last name.
Sanskruti Ghosalkar.
Yes, that's what I said. Hi,
Right.
so I want to begin. Let's begin with you, Sanskruti. Please introduce yourself. Tell us who you are and what you do.
Hey everyone, as I mentioned, my name is Sanskruti. I am a master's candidate at the University of Oxford. I finished my undergraduate studies in Mumbai. I'm from India. And I run an enterprise in Prayog Education. So we essentially provide innovative solutions to educational challenges in developing countries. And we conduct this by organizing pilot projects in different countries. So far we have organized a pilot study for 2 years in a rural village in South India. And this year we are expanding to Nepal with potential projects in China, South Africa, and Kenya. What we essentially do is we take tablets and we curate content according to the local high school curriculum, and we try to integrate it with the student and teacher pedagogy. And we see if students' learning outcomes actually change with the integration of technology. So our intention is to evaluate the ICT impact on learning outcomes. And I hope this movement sustains itself with funding and donors. And we try to create real impact in alignment with the SDG goal number 4.
All right, great. It's a pleasure to have you with us. And we have Miss Ali Rice, also from World Merit UK. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Ali Rice. I'm an artist and kind of designer and visionary, really, and I've worked in education for 20 years. And basically, all of our projects have used creativity to promote positive change. And most of the children we work with are actually primary school age, but we've worked across the board with secondary schools and college students as well. And most recently, in the last 7 or 8 years, we've used digital skills to make cross-curricular projects much more exciting, so kids are much more engaged. Were. So it means that the kids rise to the challenge and become as involved as everyone else does in the processes we use. So, and our long-term goal is to run a project called Flow, which is going to be a global project that reconnects kids through digital skills to the natural environment. So Flow means for the love of the world. So that's kind of our main. So I've spent the last 2 years trying to secure strategic partners, and that's what we're trying to do. And they include Nesta, and Lord David Putnam is one of our biggest advocates as well.
Wonderful, wonderful. So I want this to be a conversation amongst you more experienced ladies and in the field. And I'll begin by asking you some individual questions, and then we'll just have an open discussion.
Okay.
But my first question about quality education, the last big challenge that World Merit offered was around financial literacy competition. So we asked members to create a financial literacy workshop based off of material with our partnership with a New York organization called Drive Wealth. And the member who had the most participants in their workshop received a fully funded, a paid internship this summer at Wealth Drive on Wall Street. So we had a great winner from Ghana, D. Graf Oatman, who won that challenge. And I personally believe that that was a great experience. One, before you take the workshops, you had to go through these online crash course in financial literacy, as well as a little bit, I guess, of wealth management, and learn about Wall Street. And that was my first experience taking a financial literacy course. I think most adults, even in America, have never taken a financial literacy course. So that was a great learning experience. And I think financial literacy is important to getting out of poverty or extreme poverty. Do you believe financial literacy should be a mandatory course in secondary school, and why? You first, Ali.
I think probably they should introduce some financial literacy even earlier than that, so people kind of have a sense of responsibility, and that people understand that things kind of cost money and that parents have bills to pay, and so kind of managing finance is really important. So secondary school, sometimes I think it's the same as digital skills. I think sometimes we leave all of those skills a little bit too late. And once you get into secondary education, it's really fixed as to what they need to do for GCSEs and things like that. So in the UK, I would say that those skills probably need to go in earlier when they're kind of most receptive. And it's probably something that they could introduce to their parents as well, so that it would have a knock-on effect and a much greater impact earlier on.
What about you, Sanskruti?
Yes, I do agree. I mean, beginning from the primary level education to secondary and college education, financial courses must be mandatory, because as you see, there's a huge student loan amongst the student community, including me, and it's just tough for us to navigate the financial world and not realize the enormity of the debts we are carrying. So a basic education, or at least a basic literacy in financial concepts, at least make us realize what we are getting into and how to handle our personal finances. If you go to see in India, there's so many women and children who are just, they cannot comprehend the kind of personal debt that personal loans that they have taken from people. And so if they are really educated in the basic banking jargon, probably they'll be able to crawl out of poverty that they are in as of now.
Yes, I agree that it's very important. And I hope that members did participate in that financial literacy workshop that we did. It was surprising that a lot of financial literacy, free financial literacy workshops are not everywhere in New York like I would have imagined it to be. So it kind of was a last minute. I had a lot of other things going on. They offered that program in, I think, September, October, and there was just a lot of international conventions and conferences here in New York City during that time. That was the release of the SDG goals, so I didn't really have much time to dedicate to hosting any workshops. However, I was very surprised that it's not something that is offered free, available to the millions of New Yorkers, cities. So I definitely think it is important, and I will try to communicate with the Drive Wealth organization that we have a partnership with, establishing that here in New York City in the coming months. My next question for you ladies is, what sustainable development goal around for goal number 4, what target are you interested in? Each SDG has a multiple amount of targets, and do you each have a specific target that you are interested in or that you are gearing your initiatives towards?
Yes, Roger. So Prayog Education is actually targeting at target number 6, which states that by 2030, we need to ensure that all youth and a substantial proportion of adults, both men and women, achieve literacy and numeracy. So it really started out by looking at the dropout rates in India, and the thing is, after primary level education, students are just absorbed into the workforce because they do not see the immediacy and the application of the primary education, of the secondary education. So they just ask the children to leave school and work on farming and other menial jobs. So by promoting the use of technology, what we are really looking at is to promote lifelong learning and taking just any courses that they feel essential to their profession or to their interests, so that they continue the process of learning, not just till the primary level, but then it continues and goes on, builds up to secondary level and tertiary level.
And Ali?
Okay, I wasn't really familiar with these. I'm really sorry. So but for me, so I think education needs to be so for the UK, because that's the thing is I think in the UK people think that we've got a really good standard of education, but in the last 10 or 20 years the standard of education has dropped here in the UK, and there's way more disengaged kids than there ever has been, and that's because the world around us and for our children is so visually overstimulating that there's lots of kids that are getting disengaged just by the way that people are taught here, let alone anything else. And what's really interesting, in every school in the UK has got a whiteboard in it. So technically, you could run a creative process every time you did something if teachers were trained. But when they put the whiteboards in, they didn't train teachers. So teachers only use kind of fundamental it's a fundamental kind of ways of using the whiteboards. And so essentially, even though I'm not directly answering your question, I think the UK system, which is kind of my main kind of remit, kind of short term, has a long way to go to change things. But I think in other countries it's probably not the same problem because kids aren't constantly inundated by visual images all the time. So I think that's the thing, is that there's a massive difference between how the education system needs to change depending on how much technology there is already. Does that answer the question, even though I haven't been specific about the goal?
No, that's okay. I think that your flow project is related to target number 2 by 2030.
The flow project. Sorry.
Excuse me.
Sorry. Tell me again.
That your work is related to 2030. By 2030, that's target number 2. Ensure that all girls and boys have access to quality early childhood development.
Yeah, thank you for answering my question for me.
No, that's quite all right. As I mentioned,
yeah.
we all learned about the targets. I think many members are not aware that there are actual targets for these SDGs. So that's why we're learning about these together. And every month I post a new target on the World Merit site, so that when you access the group, so if you join the World Merit group for quality education, you will see all the targets and you will see videos around some of these targets, or just from a lot of the a lot of organizations that are focused on SDG number 4. It's very important, but as I said, we want to achieve some specific goals by 2030, and so we're not trying to be another charity or just another NGO. But we definitely want a partnership with everyone and come together to have a strong and effective outcome, and that is ultimately reaching these targets that are measurable. Because I think a lot of the challenges that most people have in their individual countries and cities and communities, it's difficult to measure those outcomes and goals that people do on the micro level. So a lot of these targets are on the macro level, but I think that everyone and you all are part of those efforts. So we really appreciate it. And before we just open it up a little bit more, I wanted to ask one more specific question. This is just from my learning experience and question from the members. For members to know, what does quality education mean to you, and what is your theory to improve quality education? I'll begin with you, Ali.
Okay, my idea of quality education is a much more holistic approach to a child, so that I think sometimes that we push in the UK or in the Western world, we push kids into education too quickly and stop them learning through play, so that they differentiate between work and learning, or work and play, and that particularly in primary school, that if you were clever about how you taught, kids would be engaged and in wonder all the time. So, and I think sometimes the curriculum kind of it feels like it ties teachers' hands behind their backs, so they're restricted as to what they can do. So, and quality education, I think, needs to make kids have wonder of the world, so they're constantly curious and they constantly want to discover things for themselves. And it needs to kind of keep that passion for learning all the way through. So quality education really needs to do that, and then we'll have lifelong learners that are constantly interested and constantly innovating. And creativity is key, as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, great. Yes, definitely. Creativity is very important.
Yeah.
Sanskruti, what
Yeah.
does quality education mean to you, and what is your theory on improving quality education?
Quality education to me means deeper engagement with the content that they have access to, and also to create meanings and learning lessons from everyday interactions. So my entire theory is based around social interactions that a person is provided with, and to construct schemes and mentalities out of everyday interaction. So it's not just taking textbooks and reading them and then regurgitating in examinations, but probably getting outside the textbooks, interacting with teachers, or probably going on field visits and getting to know the application of the theory that they learn, and interacting with the different stakeholders and see how different perspectives to a specific subject can actually encourage holistic education. So my method of improving education to extreme quality standards would perhaps be more teamwork and more collaborative learning, which would actually enhance their understanding of a particular subject.
True. I agree. Y'all have, I think about so many different things that y'all spoke about. So I would give y'all opportunity to ask each other questions based off of what y'all have shared. And I guess I will start a little bit and tell me, and I guess we want to ground this issue in current affairs, and I guess the biggest current affair is the Syrian refugee situation.
Mm-hmm.
So please tell us. I want to hear y'all talk about the Syrian refugee and how important quality education is there, because I guess it's a new experience, and what is something that you ladies consider with that issue. I have applied for a program called Paper Airplanes, and I know that there's universities in the U.S. and possibly in the U.K. that does tutoring for the TOEFL exam for Syrian refugees, and so it's something that I think a lot of Western community can help out in the refugee situation if they can't give financially to the or welcome refugees into their homes. They definitely need tutoring. What is your thoughts and comments on the Syrian refugee crisis?
Oh my gosh.
So should I begin? Okay.
Yeah.
So my current research interests actually lie at the intersection of refugee education and technology. So what we see is children are just displaced and uprooted from their homes, and they are put in different raw conditions, and they need to struggle for food and shelter, and they have all these concerns about basic necessities of life. And all this scheme, the education is not paid attention to. So what is happening as of now is big corporations such as Vodafone has partnered with UN agencies such as UNHCR, and they are sourcing tablets and they are distributing it to children in the conflict zones in Syria. For instance, there's an organization in the UK called War Child UK, which is doing such an initiative, but they're operating in different Middle Eastern countries like Jordan. However, what we see is even if they take the tablets and they put some content from, say, TED Education or Khan Academy or any source, and they just dump the tablets onto the kids, it's just difficult for them to interact with the technology and to just make sense of what the product is and how to navigate it. And even if the tablets are provided as a quick fix solution, I don't think that encourages any learning to a deeper extent. At the most, they'll just be accessing content, and content on the internet is just massive. It's very hard to navigate through all the content that they have been accessing to. So it's just, I get frustrated at the inadequacy of the technology that they have been accessing, and I really want to study how students from who are the victims of the conflict zones are actually interacting with such technology.
Wow.
Yes, sure. I could imagine can be overwhelming experience that they're encountering, and as you said, I guess for young children, navigating the internet is a challenge, and I guess I'm learning about that because I'm seeing how challenged members are with navigating World Merit website. So if they're having that much challenge with that, I can imagine, as you saying, when they get this new tablet, exploring the world around them can be overwhelming and frustrating, and can impact their self-esteem and personal development. Do you have any thoughts about that, Ali? I know
Oh
that.
gosh,
How
because
could
that's
we?
completely. Because I think the thing is I was watching the news just today, and there's so many there's such a split as to who even takes responsibility for the displaced refugees, isn't it? And I just think in a humanitarian way, if it was you or your child, that you know that you they need somewhere safe, don't they? And I just think technologies in that is apart from being a lifeline so you can see what's going on, I don't think technology is going to provide any answers in the short term or the long term, really. Because I just think that I just think globally, is that all of Europe needs to take responsibility, and you know, it's because Germany is one of the few countries that's opened its arms, isn't it? And I just think I don't know, I don't know whether technology's got a massive part to play in that, really. And education, because people need to be on the ground and be. I just think real education and real assurance comes from being one-to-one with people, so that they can talk and communicate and be assured, really. So I don't know how well technology does with that, because it just seems to have a huge divide and distance between people, and I don't think that's what people need when they're already displaced.
So
Does
how
that?
does your creative learning experience and workshop that you currently offer can be implemented in this experience?
Well, that's the thing, you see, is I think that they need to unite, don't they? So people need to bond and they need to be strong together. So if they're in that situation, they need to be united about where they stand and what rights they have, and where they can go from wherever they. Because I think some people have got British passports, haven't they? So that they've got a valid reason to come in. Because I think there's people that are just across the channel that some people have got kind of the validation to be able to come here, and then there are others that don't. But I just think it's just horrendous to imagine how to deal with it.
No, I was asking you specifically, how does your flow
Oh,
workshops,
Flo. Okay.
and yes, what would that look like in a
Okay.
refugee camp setting? What would you, if you had the
Because that's
opportunity
the
to
thing is,
introduce that?
because I think that it would you just need to find the common ground, so you know where there's commonality as opposed to where there's difference, really, in that situation. And I think because people need to understand what they're coming away from, because most people wouldn't have taken the journey that they have and put their lives in peril if there wasn't a good reason for it. So I just think that there's a level of understanding that people need to know what they've come from, and because you wouldn't just leave unless there was a good reason.
Okay, well, explain to us a little bit more about that whiteboard idea and how could that be utilized? Because I think that some of these
Okay,
camps,
so the whiteboard
yes,
idea uses Google Earth. So that's the thing, is that the way it would work probably best is to demonstrate where they're from in Syria and what they're up against, and the kind of distances they've travelled to get to where they are now, and the kind of maybe personal stories are the kind of things that would bring it home to people. You know what they've been through, and that they don't need, they need somewhere safe, and they need what everyone else needs. So they need food and water and shelter, and to be to belong again. So I think that Flow's got the opportunity to enable that to happen, but it needs to be far-reaching. So it needs to have organisations behind it that can help them connect to the people that can provide what they need.
yes, I agree. I think that
But
the
Google
whiteboard.
Earth, yeah. Sorry,
No, I was just
what I was
suggesting
going to
that
say is Google Earth's one of the Google and Google Earth are one of the most amazing tools to demonstrate not only the geography of the world, but the landscape of the world and how things are interconnected. And I think the thing is that most kids, even in the UK, haven't left the counties they live in, let alone the country. So, and other people in other places in the world, obviously, in the US as well, most people don't leave the state, do they? Or there's a kind of a high percentage. So I just think it's a way of kind of utilising technology at its best to demonstrate what's going on and why things are happening the way they are, and where things need to be mended. So that's exactly where Flow can fit in a humanitarian way.
No, I agree. I think that the learning about the world is important, and that would be a great exercise
Yeah,
workshop that you can using for learning. That was, as I mentioned, I had asked in the World Merit chat room earlier today, who was their favorite teachers, and I guess I mentioned about one of them being my elementary teacher who taught us about Africa, and we learned all the countries' names and learned how to
yeah,
draw the continent. And I
yeah,
think that that was not just a great cultural experience and just
yeah,
connecting to ancestry, but also just um, when you want to, if you think about learning a literacy experience, just learning new words, you should learn about the things that are going to always be here, opposed to
yeah,
just fancy, sophisticated legal terms and such. I think the
yeah,
primary education should be about the world and countries and cities. So yeah, I think
yeah,
that would be a great experience that we can link the tablets to the whiteboards. I'm sure that they have like digital mobile whiteboards. They're all digital, as you stated. Yes, these mobile whiteboards that can be moved around the camps and link to the tablets
true.
and connect to the maps, as you said, and they will learn about the journey that they've been on and the
Yeah,
world that they have an opportunity to encounter. I think that after maybe 15 years, and I'm not saying that that's going to be in 15 years, but let's say a child that's born in a camper right now, and and in about, let's say, 10 years, well, I said 15 years because they're closer to adulthood, where they have
yeah,
that choice to decide that, hey, there is more than just this patch of Europe that I've been exposed to. Even if they don't go back to Syria, there is a greater world that they can continue their refugee journey and find a better life for themselves to come out of that poverty of living in a concentration camp. Excuse me, did I say that? A refugee camp.
does that, yeah, but that's how it feels,
That's true.
probably.
Well, I hope it doesn't feel like a concentration camp.
I don't,
I
not
think
not
there's some people.
completely, but you know the no, you know the lack of freedom and not knowing where you're going. Obviously, there's no threat, so they're not going to die, hopefully. But no,
Yeah.
there is kind of a restriction in their existence at the moment, isn't there?
No, I think there are many people in New York City who believe they live in concentration camps, and
Mhm.
I just, it's not something to make a joke about, but
No, no,
I
no.
think that the New York City system is sort of set up as a pipeline to the prison system, and many people will agree with
Really.
that. If you even see the schools here, they have bars on the windows. They look like jails. It's not just a theory.
Wow.
It's a school to prison pipeline,
Yeah.
and the windows have bars on it, and the doors have locks on them.
Yeah.
So yeah, so you
Well,
can't
because
just walk in
one
and
of
out
my
and
one of my best friends is from Kenya, but she lives in the States, and she's lived there for the last 20 years or something. But I always think that she's kind of, well, since she moved to the States, that she's jumped on the Western hamster wheel, and she's in kind of, because she has to pay a mortgage, and you know, so essentially, even though she's got the most amazing house and the most amazing car, and you know, more than she could ever have dreamed of, she's also kind of bought into the system. So her children have been in childcare, and she's had to work full time, and you know, so it's kind of, and she's missed out on the community she would have had if she was at home in Nairobi. So that's the thing, is that you know, everyone to a certain extent has got kind of restrictions and a lack of freedom, you know, unless they kind of fight for it. And I think as an entrepreneur, that's one of the things that I love, the fact that I'm free to do and work as I please, and I'm not answerable to anybody. So I think that, you know, there's different levels of freedom, and isn't there?
well, yes. I think, there are many. I think if she's fully living her dream, I guess, you can have all types of nannies and all types of other, and send your child to private school. That
Yeah,
is, there. Some of the best private schools are here in New York school, or prep school, and all of these, high quality education. But
yeah,
as I mentioned, that the statistics say that New York, America, is not ranked in the top 10 when it comes to quality education. They're ranked
yeah,
22 still, compared to other
yeah,
countries. So no matter how wealthy you are, you're not necessarily getting the most competitive, quality education, here in
yeah,
America for your children.
yeah.
Um, my question, I guess, before we come back to you, Ali Sanskruti, what do you think about homeschooling and the work that you're doing now as far as these programs, for early childhood and for tablets, since that most kids are on tablets and know how to navigate through these things quite better than their parents, and like when it comes to headphones and such, these simple, home education, homeschooling. What are your thoughts on that? And have you explored that in your studies so far?
I haven't explored homeschooling as such, but there is tiny percentage of population in India who actually has been through the process of homeschooling. And so this formal and informal homeschooling. Formal homeschooling is where parents actually design what they need as children to learn, and they design the lesson plans and they implement those so that children are on par with students from other schools. And there's this informal approach to homeschooling where they just sit and absorb things around them and probably just read a few books here and there, and it's not a very coherent process, unlike an education system. But tablets can definitely step in for homeschooling if the content is curated and if it's implemented well. The major advantage of homeschooling is you get to pick the courses that you like or the interest that you want to pursue, and then there's so many videos which are available on the internet, which are the massive open online courses where you just pick the ones that you like, and most of them are free of cost. and they have their own evaluation system. And so you can literally sit within the confines of four walls and access the courses that you like. But it's still a very tricky question because there aren't many studies which have actually proven the efficacy of homeschooling and are the homeschool students better or not compared to the school children. But it can definitely be an option to explore, especially with respect to the refugee education. If the refugee kids do not have access to formal schooling whenever they migrate to safer places, then homeschooling can definitely be a viable option to get them on the literacy track. And considering there are no other options available in places of utter breakdown, this could be a panacea.
Are you an advocate for homeschooling, Ali?
To be honest, I'm not, but I did because my own child became disengaged with literacy, ironically, before he was 6 years old, and I did threaten to homeschool him with the head teacher because he was in a small class of 18, and he got disengaged and felt like he couldn't do anything, and I basically told them that they just weren't doing their job properly because he wasn't being supported. And within 6 months, he had a different teacher, and he was way ahead of himself, and everything kind of clicked together. And also there's a close friend that's homeschooled their child that's the same age as my daughter, and I just think she's not given enough structure, and no one assesses what they do, and she's been given so much freedom that she's got too much energy and she can't focus. So I just think if that homeschooling happens, it needs. In fact, there's somebody that I saw on the television that homeschooled both of his children, and he spent 2 years and took them out of school, and he basically got them. They decided they had money, but they wanted to kind of study Egyptian studies, so they went to Egypt, and they kind of had a real kind of practical experience. So they went from one place to another, and were actually surrounded by whatever they were studying. So it's kind of, if you had that kind of unique experience, it would be amazing. But obviously, most people don't. But I think you need to have real strong role models that have got good knowledge and good resources to make it work, really. And you need to still make sure that they're kind of proactive, and they're with. I also met a girl that was homeschooled, and she was probably the worst example of what homeschooling can do, because she couldn't work and function in a group at all, and she was really egotistical and thought she knew everything, but she couldn't participate in a group and even take delegated tasks, even there was about 6 of us, and she was the only one that couldn't work as a group because she was so used to just individualizing everything. So I think a peer group and other children of the same age being involved in whatever happens is really important too.
Yes, I agree. This next question is for you, Sanskruti. There's one of the targets is to, ensure equal access for all men and women. Target number 3, to technical vocational education, including university. So tell us about your experience at Oxford, and how is that different from your university experience in India? And in terms to quality education as well as access for women.
Tricky question. So I think despite the different structures of evaluation and lessons in 2 different universities in 2 different countries, I don't think either university is lacking behind in terms of quality, because there are strict assessment structures and their lesson plans, and the teachers are really eager to teach, and the students are really eager to learn. However, in terms of gender disparity and quality education outside the university experience of Oxford and India, the condition is really pathetic, especially in rural regions in India. So in rural households, girls are just asked to drop out of the schools after class 1 or class 2. In worst cases, they are not even enrolled in schools. They're just made to sit at home, learn basic home skills, and then just get married off. And that's really unfortunate, especially when they could actually access education just like other men. They deserve to access. They deserve an access to education. So what happens is, due to this gender disparity, which is created due to patriarchy within the system, it's the girls are the victims, and there isn't any force that can bind them together. So as of now, the government has launched certain programs to encourage female enrollment in schools. So there's one program called as Sarva Siksha Abhiyan, which enrolls girls and boys into primary level, irrespective of gender. So that's a great initiative. And there's another initiative in India called Midday Meal Scheme, which exhorts students to step up to their homes and come to school every day and stay even after the lunch break, because lunch break was the time students went back to school and never returned to school. So there are different initiatives which are launched to bridge the gender disparity and to make students stay within the classrooms, to increase the student retention rate within schools, and which would probably contribute to quality education. But these are just meager, small steps, and they aren't really promoting gender equality in large numbers.
Hey, okay. And Ali, did you attend university?
I did, yeah. I did a fine arts degree.
All right. And what do you think? How was that experience for you?
So for me, in university as well, I still felt, because I did a combined degree with English literature and fine art, and I still think in university that say in literacy, in literature, they just want you to know critics, know of critics' ideas and kind of regurgitate them as opposed to thinking for yourself. And when I was doing my fine art as well, there was lots of pressure to do very abstract work, so I specialised in sculpture to avoid doing them. So for me, I've kind of been quite anti-system, because the system's always pressured me to do things that don't make any sense to me. So I've always been quite naturally unconventional, I think, and I didn't realise I was. And so I don't know, I just question things that are systematic, really, because it doesn't give you room to grow in the same way. So does that answer your question? But I've got a Bachelor of Arts degree, yeah. But the thing is that I wouldn't say that it didn't teach me how to paint or draw, because I could naturally do that. It just gave me the time, and it opened my mind and gave me opportunities, which the best one of which was I came to the States for the first time back in 1989.
Oh yes, tell us about that experience, please.
Yeah, because I came to work, so what I was meant to be doing was doing work experience with an uncle of mine that was a designer, and he let me down last minute. So I actually came over to the States with Camp America, which is similar to what World Merit offers now, and I worked as a program manager in the middle of the wilderness in the Sierra Mountains. And it was the most life-changing thing I ever did, and I'd continue to work there for the next 10 years. And some of my best friends are people that I work with. So the girl that I was talking about that was from Africa, she was one of the friends that I met. And one of my best friends is from Russia. And anyway, so it kind of opened my eyes, and it just it really connected me to nature as well, because I was in the middle of the wilderness and it was stunning. So it kind of grounded all the things that are important to me.
Oh, sounds great. And have you observed what has fine arts changed since you've been there?
Well, that's the thing, you see, is I think I'm naturally an artist, but I discovered that the real root for me was the creativity, and how much creativity can change things. So I kind of diversified and made sure that whatever we did counted and made a difference. And that's when I set up the business back in 1990, and then my partner and our husband came in, I think it was about 10 years later. So it's been going since 1990, and it's kind of diversified through that time, but it's always used creativity as a tool to promote positive change. And we've always had a social impact, which has been educational and environmental.
Has the quality of the education around the creative arts improved
I
for
think
in the last
that's the thing you
10
see is
years?
I think the older you get in the education system, the more creativity is suppressed. So that there's because they tend to do a little bit more cross-curricular stuff than they used to. But there's, especially once you get to secondary level, there's massive boundaries so that you don't see how things affect each other. That the sciences are separate, and there's literacy and numeracy, and I still think that there's room to. That's the thing is when we did the creative partnership projects we ran, it showed how cross-curricular how things work together. So it interconnected subjects and made them so you could see how they applied. So skills applied, and creativity was kind of the root for all of it.
Well, no, I definitely believe that that every child, every adult should have a holistic experience.
Hmm.
So I think that any approaches, people have various theories about how to have a holistic experience for
Yeah.
personal development and childhood development. Do y'all
Yeah.
have any thoughts on what a holistic quality education, what a quality education experience would look like or can be described,
Hello?
Do you want do
or
you
what
want to
does
go
it mean?
first?
Yes, you're back.
That's good.
You're back.
Pardon?
Can you hear us?
Yeah. Do you want me to answer first?
Sure. Yes,
Or
please.
Sanskruti? Okay.
I'm
So
sorry.
I
Sorry, there was a Wi-Fi
Sanskruti.
issue over here. I kind of got lost in the call.
Okay, no, the question, the last question was,
Mhm.
what is holistic quality education mean? And what is your thoughts on that?
Okay. Well, for me, it's kind of a mind, body, and spirit experience. So the thing is that you need to feel connected and part of the group and have good self-esteem. And then that whatever you learn, then you're open for learning because you're in a good place. And what's interesting is in our experience, sometimes school is one of the foundation blocks for some children, and their life experience outside of school is really challenging. So school provides a foundation stone that they don't get anywhere else. And then other times kids find school frustrating, and that their kind of foundation is very much based in the home and they're well supported, and school kind of doesn't connect with them for some reason. So for me, it's about kind of making connections with whoever's teaching and with your classmates, so that you're kind of in flow, so that you're open to ideas and you're kind of contributing, and you're in a good place to be positive. So that's where the holistic experience, if that's what happens from day one and it continues all the way through, then your educational experience is going to be a good one.
Um, for me, holistic education will be something that builds on competencies which contribute to living life. For instance, financial literacy, if that's implemented or incorporated in school curriculum, that actually helps students to navigate the realities and vagaries of the reality. However, it also means connecting mind, body, and soul. So for me, it's just um, taking on different things which are building different skills and learning through social interactions, but also making connections to your inner self that will contribute to a fulfilled living life.
Yeah.
All right, well, great. Do y'all have any questions? Is there anything, any additional information that y'all would like to talk about?
That's the other thing that I was going to mention quickly as well is one of the things that the education system kind of struggles with is for kids that have got special needs. So if you're kind of dyslexic or you've got other problems, that particularly in the UK, that they still measure what you can do on what you can write down. So if you can't put what you know on paper, that nothing really counts. And even if you can articulate what you say and you've got knowledge in your head, they still don't make room to demonstrate something unless you can put it down on paper. And that's what that's why a lot of kids get frustrated, because their ability to articulate doesn't necessarily correspond with what they can put on paper. particularly in primary, and that's when they become disengaged, and then they're kind of, you know, their counterparts that are doing well academically, they feel like they're leaving them behind, so their self-esteem gets affected, and you know, so that's another thing that the education system needs to look at, really, because it just leaves people behind and makes them feel like they're failing before they've even begun to achieve.
Yes, I think that should be very important. Just as important as bullying, correct? I think
Yeah,
we need to create better environments where that doesn't foster that type of culture. You know, as I
yeah,
mentioned, there is this prison to school to prison system, and because of those type of influences of the environment, it breeds that type of negativity and bullying and criminal minded activity.
yeah,
So, and when the goal as a, if you know, should be focused on learning the system and learning your lessons so that you can pursue anything that you choose, whether if it is positive, but it should not definitely be on bullying and getting in the way of other people's learning experiences.
yeah,
Schools should create an environment where they are helping each other. So the responsibility of even um, the learning experience of the children with disabilities, or whether it's physical or learning, should also be the responsibility of their peers, and not just cheating
yeah,
off each other on tests.
yeah.
Um, hey, so I was looking at your website, Flow. Tell us about your project, Love the World.
Okay, so our long-term goal is to run a global project somehow or other, and we plan to originally pilot the project with the Green School in Bali. So in 2013, I won Social Entrepreneur of the Year with Roger Hamilton, who runs the Entrepreneurs Institute in Bali. And at that time, he was the chairman of the Green School, which is the greenest, most kind of conscious school in the world, and it's designed to create green leaders. And he also he trained at Cambridge, and he's an architect. Roger Hamilton did, and he also designed and created the biggest bamboo structure in the world, and that structure houses the Green School in Bali. So the project, essentially, we're trying to get strategic partners involved, and we've had meetings with both Google and Nesta. And David Putnam's really good at brokering relationships for us with really influential people that are kind of chief executive high in their organizations. So we're just trying to get the right partners involved to enable that to happen. And Roger Hamilton's kind of key to it as well. So if any of the entrepreneurs out there want to, he runs the thing, he runs Entrepreneurs TV, and he does wealth dynamics and all kinds of stuff, but he's a really fascinating person, and a lot of the things that I've heard him talk about really resonate with me, and education and the environment's kind of key to his development too.
Well, you might have mentioned it in the introduction, but please just tell us again about Flow. Now that I have the website on the screen, can you just tell us again what the project
What the
Love the
website is?
World is, and
Oh,
what is the
sorry.
vision?
So it's basically, sorry, FLOW stands for the love of the world, and it's celebrating the beauty and fragility of the natural world through the eyes of its children. And it's doing that through film and animation. So kids get future skills in digital technology, but also reconnect and do their own action research in their own environment. And the idea is to kind of do separate projects that work together on an overriding platform, and so that they can share the films or whatever the creative processes that they do with other people around the world, just so that people are reconnected to nature and they can kind of see what other people's natural environments are like.
Well, that sounds great. I hope you can create some SDG videos around the goals with your young people, and
And
that
that's
would
what we
be
should do, isn't it?
and we can share that on our World Merit community and get that out there
Okay.
to other countries. I remember you
Yeah.
mentioned when we first spoke a few months ago about getting that type of workshop experience with the whiteboard and such to a global classroom, in essence.
Yeah.
And could you talk more about that again?
Yeah, because it's the idea for Flow came from a project that we did, and it was actually researching the seas and oceans of the world. So the children that we worked with were only 5 and 6 years old, so they were on the cusp of reading and writing. And what they did is they chose their own animal in the sea and the ocean. Then they were put into groups depending on geographically where that animal was found, and then they had 3 different questions to research. They made their animal out of plasticine, and then they used all of the information they'd gained. So they used all those facts that they found out to write their scripts, and then they put there's 2 parts to Flow, and that won a David Shepherd Wildlife Foundation Award back in 2010, and was also shown at the Natural History Museum in London. And these kids were only 5 and 6 years old, so they were just learning to read and write. But that kind of set the seed for the global project for Flow.
Sounds good. So they're learning social studies as well as science,
Yeah,
right
it
along.
was science and geography based. Yeah.
Yes.
And I think that the key thing is with the project is it's child-led, so the children do their own research, and because they choose their own animal and they make their own animal, they kind of have ownership over part of it. So the component parts that they make, when they're put together, produce this amazing kind of complex structure of what they would have learned if they just done like a dry lesson. But they've kind of embarked on it so that they've all been part of a bigger picture.
Well, great. Y'all are both doing some amazing things. And Sanskruti, I guess my last question before I allow y'all to have your closing comments. I know you have some other responsibilities to attend to. Tell us, what do we expect? What world news do we expect to hear from you in the next 5 years, Sanskruti? I think you are doing some amazing things that you have coming forward as far as with technology and education. So what do we expect to hear from you in the future?
Probably better engagement with technology. So students are just tinkering with different devices without actually getting to know it very well and realizing its potential for someone's career. So what I'm really aiming at is for students to realize how important technology is and how they could better integrate it into their schooling environments. And as well as my personal goal is to somehow integrate technology into refugee education, because there are some people who they are the ones who are in desperate need of technology, and if that would just help bridge the gap of inequality in education, that would just be fantastic. So I just hope that somehow technology is there to not provide solutions as such, but at least provide the medium and the path for them to get out of their situations and to aim for higher, loftier goals.
Okay, you might have briefly mentioned it, but tell us again about what you'll be doing in India.
So the project in India essentially was taking tablets but curating them with proper content in alignment with the high school curriculum and seeing if students are able to interact with the tablets. However, the schools that we implemented the program in were structured schools with scheduled timetables, and the teachers were efficient, and the students were really keen and interested in learning. So we are just looking at how tablets can be integrated into schooling environments. In India, we have implemented this project for the past 2 years, and now for the current year, we're expanding the project to Nepal to see if students are really finding the tablets useful in their learning environments.
Are you getting adequate sponsorship for your program?
So this funding is basically, we run these fundraising programs and we apply for small grants. And the worst case scenario, we all fundraise it through small events on campus. but essentially we don't have any funding as of now, and so we just make sure that we raise adequate money based on personal fundraising initiatives so that we are able to conduct those projects every year. So far, for the past 2 years, we have raised a decent amount so that we could source the tablets and get the content and travel to India and implement the project, but still arduous task.
Okay, well, tell our members and World Merit community, and I hope that it will be shared on social media. How can people support your initiative? What is the name? Is there a website that we can go to contribute to the future of Indian education?
Yes, definitely. So we have a Facebook page named Prayog Education. We also have a website named prayogeducation.org. If you go to the website, there's a tab called Support, and under Support, you'll find different ways you could contribute to supporting our organization. Any amount of grant is actually welcome. It's not that we are asking for a specific amount, because the thing is, even if $10 or £10 translates to lots of rupees in the Indian currency. So any form of grant is welcome to us.
All right.
Ali, you had something to say?
Well, thank you. I think Ali wanted to interrupt us. She might have to go now.
Oh, sorry, no, I thought I'd lost connection.
Oh no, you're still there. You're still there.
Sorry.
I guess I will also, when I post the links to this conference call, you can add it in the comments of all the links to where they can go and make a contribution, and all the links to learn more about your projects. And Ali, do you please tell members how they can find you online, your website, and also
the best way to the best way to find us is to come and join us. That we've got a Facebook community page for Flow, and you just need to type Flow into the research bar, and the world will pop up. And you just need to, and you'll be able to directly contact me then. So that's the best way to kind of link with us. And as soon as we get strategic partners involved, we're going to set up a new website and kind of change things a little bit.
All right. Well, great. Well, we've been on for quite a while, and I'm going to open it up to World Merit members. There was a few that was interested in joining us who've been waiting for quite a while. But if you can stay, is it possible for y'all to stay any longer?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. All right, great. But so what I will do is do a screen share again, and go to World Merit and open it up and see if there's any questions. But can you please give some closing statements on quality education and your thoughts, or anything that you want members to specifically know about or consider, who might be attending Merit 360, or just this is their first time even being exposed to the issue?
Okay, for me, quality education, for me, creativity is still key, and I still think that creativity also kind of opens up the spirit of who you are as well. So it's not, I think everybody's creative, and sometimes the system kind of represses the creativity in some, not others. So I still think it's key to connecting to you and to everyone else and to the world.
For me, quality education forms the basis for the implementation of all the other goals under SDGs. In fact, the MDGs are not implemented effectively, and lower literacy rates actually perpetuates more problems. So if quality education is achieved, it can actually galvanize and expedite the process of achieving all the other goals. There are many different ways of achieving quality education, but let's just make sure that we sustain these efforts and continue these efforts in collaboration with other change makers in the region, so that we could actually attain these goals by 2030.
Well, thank you. I just opened it up. I should have sent this out maybe about a few minutes ago. So I don't know if they're going to join. I don't want to keep you ladies waiting too long. What I will do is share with you. I had went to UNICEF this week, last week, and attended this um, conference that they had, a panel discussion on education and transitional justice, opportunities and challenges to peacemaker. So it basically talks about, how that each year 500 million to 1.5 billion children around the world are subjected to some form of violence, and more than 1 billion children are living in areas affected by conflict and violence. And this affects their development, survival, gender equity, poverty reduction, and access to education. So so peace building and education are kind of linked. War is a huge contributor to poverty as well as to education. And so they provided all these resources, Learning for Peace program brief in 2015, and they have a website, all this information on the UNICEF website also. This is another brochure about to protect education from attack. A lot of the conversation was talking about how governments as well as militants use educations as a base in communities, and that's something that UNICEF and the United Nations is working hard to prevent in the future. Putting aside the damage that is the destruction that are being done and used as targets, it's definitely a terrible situation. My thoughts briefly on that, especially like what's happening in Syria with that conflict, is that on two sides that I hope that the refugees are getting a holistic history lesson. Obviously, we know that a holistic history lesson is not something that has been in modern education systems, especially in Western education. This conflict is the first exposure, or at least the conflicts in the Middle East is most Americans' exposure to these countries. And I think a lot of the conflicts that we have in this world now, and not being a critique of American exceptionalism, however, I think that is easy for a lot of politicians, let's say, to go into war because they are children of war. World War II was happening, Vietnam, and all these conflicts that affected the psyche and the culture of America has influenced a lot of their peace and security policies and national and foreign policies that they have now. So it is kind of easy for them to make that decision to jump into a war based off of the World War II, Vietnam traumatization and the programming they have received about their responsibility and their strength and what it means to live in the world today. I hope that the trauma from Syria doesn't have the same effect, meaning that it breeds into their psyche an acceptance for violence and makes them inclined to want to be soldiers. Wanting to be a soldier should not be something that necessarily be of great pride. Obviously, there's nothing glamorous about violence and war that any warrior would tell you. And it should be something that, there are many military families, and so if that is something that you know of, and then yes, serving in the military it can be noble and respectable, and we honor all those who sacrifice their lives. However, war and violence should not be something to be excited to run towards, and peace building should equally be of importance, and strengthening those heart muscles should be a priority for our society. So aside from that, they also shared these gender education and peace building brief, learning for peace, and gender equality, fundamental to transformative and sustainable peace building. So once again, SDG number 5 is related to goal number 4. Goal number 4, that is quality education. And peace and justice is SDG number 17. And then they gave this also, starting early to build stronger and a more peaceful societies, promoting positive attitudes and skills in children, and providing safe, caring, and loving environments for young children. So that was the discussion about how to implement this in other countries such as Uganda and Ivory Coast and areas of South America. But we definitely will be learning how this will affect peace building. Should be something that is part of the culture of Europe, where a lot of these refugees are going, and areas of Africa where there are a lot of conflicts that we hear about or don't hear about, but are currently happening as we speak. It's unfortunate that some of the terrorism of last year was not made in the news, but all we heard about was Paris. But we didn't hear about the many lives in Kenya and the young girls in Congo, and it's very unfortunate that these things have been overlooked by the mainstream media. Do y'all have any thoughts about those?
I do agree with you, Roger, on this, especially in terrorist, in volatile situations like this in conflict regions. Education can actually be seen as an emancipatory tool which can help them get out of the current situations. The thing is, such militant-based outfits target individuals who are naive and who have no idea about how the world functions. They have no perspective on things, and hence the militant outfits find it easier for the victims to target and recruit into their organizations. So education can actually help them to get back on track, because otherwise they'll just be brainwashed by any perspective or any individual or any organization that just comes up to them. Don't you agree?
No, I definitely agree. I think that these child soldiers, many of them, were inscripted because they didn't have a proper educational experience themselves. So a lot of the hatred and fuel and negativity that they were exposed to at a very young age, they take it out on other vulnerable communities and people who are in a similar situation that they similarly were in once in their very young age. So it is a negative, reactive situation that continues to go and spiral out of control, and hopefully we can interrupt that and change that over the next 15 years. We have a member who just recently joined us. Hey, how's it going, Joshua? Joshua's from Ghana. Please introduce yourself.
I'm Joshua, World Merit Ghana, and I'm very happy to have you on tonight.
Well, thank you. It's great to have you and to talk to you. We just was asked talking about peace building and education. And please tell us something about Ghana. And I don't know how Ghana has stayed. Has Ghana been free of a lot of the militant terrorism that has been experienced in other parts of the continent?
Actually, I would say Ghana has been very peaceful since time immemorial, and there is only one thing which at times poses that security threat to us, and that is when it comes to our general election. But then we have demonstrated very clearly that indeed we are discerning people, and anytime we go to the polls, even though the stakes may be high, we do well to demonstrate clearly we don't have any other country to live in apart from Ghana. So in election wise, we have managed ourselves well, and if I would put it on record, Ghana has been very peaceful since Independence Day. So, and I would also love to chip in this. This very year marks our general election, and various civil society organizations are making frantic efforts to put measures in place just to chalk the successes we have experienced in the past. But then we would, in a way, also love World Merit International to come to our aid, as a couple of guys and myself are trying to put together some pieces which probably is aimed at ensuring that there will be peace before, during, and after our general election. So this is something brief I can say about Ghana when it comes to peace matters.
Great. Well, please introduce yourself properly. On the line, we have Ali and Sanskruti in the UK. And please, so introduce yourself to our group.
Okay. I'm Joshua Kobla Japa. I'm a Ghanaian and a member of World Merit Ghana, and we only have one aim, and the aim is to make human welfare our preoccupation, because we are of the view that when we make human welfare a preoccupation, the world will be a safer place for dwelling and there will be absolute peace.
What about quality education and the education system and experience in Ghana?
Okay, well, in Ghana, if I may put it on record, we have three levels of education. That is, we have the basic education, the secondary education, and the tertiary education. And with the basic education, one is required to go for that lengthy years of 9. And with that, we have had successive government, and what happens along the line is when successive government take the realm of affairs, what they normally do is they change our educational system to an extent that it ends up favoring some people and also affecting some people. And when one is able to go through the 9 years of basic education and excel with flying colors, what is mandated of that person is to climb high on the secondary education. And with the secondary education, one has to go through 3 years of rigorous learning, and at a point the person becomes very much exposed to some practical experiences. And when that happens, and maybe at the long run the person takes that examination which everyone is required to take and excel at the secondary level too, then the chance will be very much open for whoever qualifies to enter into our tertiary system. And when one gets that nod to go through the tertiary system in Ghana, the person is required to take 4 years of tertiary education, and it will be based on one's preference. And even there is an admission criteria one has to satisfy. When especially you made it to the tertiary level, you are required to meet some basic measures that has been put in place by the various universities in Ghana. Assuming you want to go and read a program in medicine, the requirement states that you are to get a single digit at the examination summit. And let's assume when you come up with a grade of 6 and you want to read medicine, you will be given that chance to read it. But then when maybe you are not fortunate and you did not land a single digit, probably you can be given a second option which the university felt will be in your best interest. So with the education system, as I said earlier, we have 3 levels. We have the basic education, we have the secondary education, and we have the tertiary education. But our problem as a people is largely hinged on the basic education, because we know we know for a fact that the basic education is the preparatory stage. It is the foundation, and when the foundation is not solidly built, it will go a long way to affect the other levels of education. And if I will put on record, I may say our basic education system has been theoretical since time immemorial. It doesn't give room for innovations. It doesn't give room for creative ventures where people can consciously or unconsciously come out with something out of creativity. We are being subjected to follow a particular pattern, which at the end of the day hinders our creative activity. So I would, in a way, call on Roger and co, who have made SDG for their hobby, to come on board and maybe introduce some social intervention programs which could probably end up sealing or breaking some of these gaps. So I just don't know if there are any other questions you would love me to answer.
All right. Well, great. Thanks. Tell us about your educational experience.
Okay.
Have you university?
Okay. I had my basic education back in the western region of Ghana, and I went through the educational system for 9 years. I attended my own forces basic school, and after my basic education, based on my performance, I was enrolled to study pure science at Ghana Secondary Technical School back in Takrady, where I took programs in elective mathematics, biology, chemistry, and physics. I was there for 3 years. I took the West African Examination Council exams, and I excelled with flying colors. Upon completion, because of financial constraints, I was made to go through the polytechnic system. I attended Takrady Polytechnic, where I read a 3-year higher diploma program in statistics. And for 3 years, I was in the school trying to acquire basic skills in statistics, how to analyze data, make inferences from data, and present data to a layman who wouldn't in any way be in a position to understand what data is about. So after going through the school system in Takrady Polytechnic in the western part of Ghana, I was made to be enrolled on the National Service Platform, which is established by law. I was made to go through the National Service system for a year at Tema Polyclinic, and on completion, my employers then saw something good in me, so they decided to enroll me on the program for some time. So I was in Tema Polyclinic assisting with the data analysis section, and after some time I also find it very prudent to get back to school, because going through the polytechnic system wasn't my highest achievement which I planned. But then after I've had that national service experience and other experiences which came along the line, I felt very serious to get back to school. So I was in a way enrolled by the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology in the Ashanti region of Ghana to read a program in business administration. I was in Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology for 3 years, where I read a bachelor degree program in business administration. I majored in logistics, operations, procurement, and supply chain management. And back in school, I held a lot of leadership position. I was made the lecturer commissioner for our department back in school, and I was able to put together a nice thesis on total quality management, which was adjudged one of the best theses during our time. And on completion of school, I got back to the hospital probably to continue with the good works which I started. And along the line, fortunately for me, I had an offer to travel to the northern part of Ghana to work with an organization with World Food Program on a contract basis. I was there for some time and I was the supply chain analyst who took charge of anything
Joshua,
which.
Joshua.
Hello.
Yeah, we was interrupted briefly there. Is everyone still there?
Yeah.
Eh,
Okay. So yeah, we missed a lot of the last part, and I guess we was getting to the most important part of what you were saying. I
okay.
think you mentioned that how you was um you have a degree in statistics, and I think that that's important, as you were
Okay.
saying, to analyzing data, to improving quality education. A
Okay.
lot of the targets are quantity oriented, improving, making sure that
Okay.
education is reached to all children and is universal. But I
Okay.
think that, yes, how do we improve the quality? I think is based off of how we interpret the current numbers and statistics that we currently have in the
Okay.
world. So I think then we need to have people like yourself involved in all of these issues, in all of these projects to effectively make sure that we're having the greatest impact.
Okay.
Do you have any questions for Ali or Sanskruti?
I was following the conversation very keenly when you started, and you were discussing something about financial literacy, and I found that topic very interesting because it seems financial literacy has been neglected to the background. We only feel at a point it is the experts who are well versed in financial matters are the only people who can take charge of that. So mine is not a question, but it's a contribution. I would suggest that maybe we put measures in place to make it part and parcel of our education curriculum, where every student will be taken through a bit of financial literacy, which could probably help the person in the nearby future, and which wouldn't maybe call for a financial expert at the slightest thing, which could be done by the individual, him or herself. So mine is not a question, but then I just want us to maybe put this agenda across so that possibly we can have it to be part of our education curriculum.
No, I definitely agree. Thank you for sharing that. Financial literacy is so important. As I said, that most people don't have a financial literacy experience. And based off of taking the one we had for World Merit, I haven't had one either. I wouldn't say, but of course, yes, as business administration, yes, we learn finance, basic accounting and issues as that. But just some very essential things that you would think that as far as that you would think that we would take for granted, as having a bank account and such. These things have been neglected in society. We have another member. Who is that? Tashi?
And but I have a question with regards to Merit 360.
Wait a moment, just a moment. We could talk about that in a moment.
Okay.
Tashin? Tashin?
Yeah, how are you?
Hey, introduce yourself.
Yeah, enjoying the Hangout, Google Hangout. I'm from Iraq. Um, in the fourth year in medical school.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us. I guess we
Yeah.
will answer any questions or comments. Is there any questions that you have for Ali or Sanskruti about quality education?
No, I just enjoy to listen for your question and answer. Okay, so you can take um. I'm just here
Okay.
for listening for your
Oh,
questions.
Okay, no problem. Well, thanks for joining us. I guess
Yeah.
before we take your what I wanted to mention also is that we have a new, if you've been to the Total Giving website for World Merit, you would see that we have an appeal for a few different fundraising aside from Merit 360. And one of them I will show you on the screen if you haven't seen that already is for a World Merit School. This year, we are going to be building the first sustainable development classroom, um, solar classroom, solar laboratory in Kenya. So that should be expected later on in the year. Look out for that announcement sometime after Merit 360. And right now on our Total Giving website, as you can see on your screens here, we have a current appeal to build sustainable schools in Africa. So as I click there now, we will be building World Merit schools over the next 15 years. This will be our SDG 4, Quality Education World Merit sponsored project. And we are going to be creating sponsored projects for each of the Sustainable Development Goals. And this is going to be the one that we have for SDG 4. So we definitely are going to be recruiting all of your skills, such as Ali, Flo, and Sanskruti. Uh, Definitely would want all of our members to contribute to creating a great experience for our World Merit School project that's coming later this year. And as I said, Joe, we're gonna definitely need statisticians who are going to be able to measure the impact that we're having in the communities and in these countries. So please check that out. Share that with people when you're talking about World Merit and you're doing any fundraising and promoting. And also, World Merit also has surveys. So if you go to the Take Action tab, you will see the survey for this month is the Quality Education Survey. Please fill that out. We definitely will appreciate that input on how to create the best World Merit Sustainability School for the next generation. So I want to first thank you, Ali and Sanskruti, for joining us. I would ask y'all to stay on the call as we, as I said, to some questions from other members. But I don't know. We can start with y'all questions. Sanskruti or Ali, do you have any questions about World Merit?
Did you ask me then?
Can you hear us?
No, there's some kind of disturbance on the line.
Someone has a lot of noise in their background. Um, is there a way for either Joe or Tashin? Is there a way for you to get away from that noise in the background?
Yeah, I don't understand what you say, but there is noise, sound. That's
Yeah, there's a lot of sound in one of your backgrounds. I don't know. Maybe
yeah.
you can close a door or something.
There you go.
I'm already closed my door, but I think the other members maybe they have open doors.
Okay, well, it's much better now. My question is, Ali or Sanskruti, do y'all have any questions about World Merit? Or any
Yeah.
questions for Joe
Yeah, I
in
have
Ghana?
a question, and yeah, no,
Wait.
my question is,
Wait, I was asking the ladies first. Ladies first. Does the ladies have any questions?
okay,
So, what is the World Merit vision for 2030?
Well, good question. As I mentioned, we will be. This is going to be the first year for Merit 360. So it's bringing 360 participants. who are focused on building sustainable development initiatives and projects in their country. So we definitely will be supporting that. Our website is going to be totally different. We definitely are not at the level that we truly features and functionality that we truly desire for the website. Also, so look forward to that experience. And my personal vision from what I've seen, as I said, that this community is in a position to be a leading think tank, such as the big think tanks. You know, I think that we definitely want to. They created this platform because our sponsors and board members agreed that we need to have a role in the narrative around the sustainable development goals. So this is our opportunity to actually take control of the narrative and take our power and use our power. Otherwise, it's going to be business as usual. There's no excuse for us not accomplishing these goals. This is a continuation from the 8 Millennium Development Goals that were created, and they have extended the goals and created additional targets. But we have the technology now. And so obviously the awareness and bringing the goals to the general public has been a challenge in the past. But now we have no excuse, since so many millennials, like all of us, most of us, are experts in social media and getting messages out to the people. So we definitely can achieve these goals, since all of these goals affects everyone's lifestyles and their communities and families and societies. So we're going to be developing a project for each of the goal, and the World Merit Classroom and school is the first one towards that.
Interesting.
And hopefully we will achieve many of the goals. You know, I think some of the tougher ones, like climate change, sustainable cities, those big, that affects regions and large populations, are going to be difficult. But I think we can eradicate many diseases in the next few years. And hopefully we will have World Merit members who will participate in that. And we will eliminate nuclear weapons. And I would love for World Merit to be part of that experience. And ultimately, I want, just like Malala is the youngest member to receive a Nobel Prize, I hope that World Merit receives a Nobel Peace Prize also.
Beautiful.
But ideally, I think that can be a leading think tank, because there are many, organizations like ASAC and a lot of these youth global communities that meet in conferences, high-level conferences, but they don't have this community online presence that we have. So that's why I created these multi-conference calls, so that we can have these discussions, these think tanks, conversations with each other to exchange ideas, and we will have more of these as we get closer to Merit 360 and afterwards. Hey, the families around, yes. Okay, you have a question, Ali? Before we get to Joe's question, let's say hi to Joe's family. Hey, who's that, Joe?
Joe's family.
Hey.
I'm at Roger. I need to go in a
Peace and love
minute.
to Ghana. Peace and love to everyone in Ghana. Yes. You have a question, Ali?
Roger, I need to go in a minute because I need to put my children to bed.
Okay, sure. Do you have a question before you go?
But no, because when you're setting up the sustainable school, is there a goal to do a number of schools in a certain amount of time, and Africa's the first continent that'll actually benefit from it?
We're fundraising now, so I've been told that obviously we want to build as many as possible, as well as in the next 15 years. I was told that in Kenya it costs about $150,000 to build a school. So, compared to New York City, it costs probably $150,000 to hire a principal. Forget about building a school.
Yeah.
You have to pay the principal $150,000 in New York City for a charter school. In Kenya, you can build a school for about 300 students for $150,000. So our target is really fundraising. So that's why we have the appeal page, and that is what we will be doing. As many. So look at an average of one school per $200,000.
Okay.
And that is something that we definitely want to be committed as members to after fundraising for Merit 360, of course, is to contribute to the World Merit School. But I want to thank you for joining us, Ali, and I hope that
You're welcome.
we haven't inconvenienced you from your family.
No worries.
You're everyone's big sister. I hope that people can reach out to you when it comes to after they visit your website, and we will post those details of how to link you and contact you to support your initiative.
Fantastic.
And we wish you a wonderful and powerful 2016.
Thank you. To you all too. Thanks, Roger.
Yes. All
I'll
right.
speak
Have a
to
good
everyone
night.
soon.
Goodbye, Ali.
Thank you. Bye. Take
Bye,
care.
Ali.
Hey, Joe. Now, what is your
Yeah.
Merit 360 question?
My Merit 360 question is about the fundraising. We are all aware we have a threshold we have to meet in our fundraising. I just launched my campaign some 2 days ago, and I'm hoping to raise the said amount. But my question now is, what happens if I'm not able to meet the target, but rather I'm able to maybe make some payment or maybe attract other donors which specifically wouldn't be in a position to meet the said target?
No, that's a good
Please, do
question.
you get my question?
First,
Okay.
no, I understand your question. It's a question that many members have, and I think that especially since it wasn't stated in the agreement from World Merit, and I guess they didn't want to discourage people from the goal. I think a lot of it is just persistence. So you can achieve it if you really will to be there. And however, just in the small probability that you can't, if you've made your deposit, your place is secured for the previous Merit 360 events next year. They are likely to have two of them in 2017. Also in a different part of the world. So I guess the expense of coming to the U.S. might not be as significant for a lot of members, depending on where the next Merit 360 is going to be held internationally. Also, I imagine that, as I said, just as your deposit will be secure, your money will be secure for any upcoming Merit 360 ones that you can participate. Because some people are going to pay the money and then some emergency why they can't attend. So that is a good question, but be sure that your money is safe.
And and there
And
is this question which I forgot to ask. Question is, in Ghana here, before you will be uh, given a visa to travel out, there are some measures and there are some laid down principles you are to meet. And getting a visa to travel to the United States is very Herculean in our part of the world. So I just don't know whether Merit 360 or World Merit is putting measures in place to make the process very easy for those of us who have been confirmed officially on Merit 360.
well, that's another good question. I talk about Merit 360 fundraising as well as the travel visa experience in the beginning of this call, in the beginning of the conference. So You can go back and play that, but what I explained is that um, that just as many high-profile internships and fellowships, before you apply for these opportunities, they ask you to write a letter of interest, or even if you're applying for a grant. So in that letter of interest, I recommend you write that letter to the embassy and tell them about Merit 360 and World Merit, and introduce yourself and who you are and what you're planning to do before you send your actual application in. I think that they will appreciate it. And as I said, when you watch in the beginning, I'll explain more detail. I explain some strong suggestions about how to communicate with them. However, I'm not the Merit 360 expert, or I do not have an official response from World Merit on Merit 360 or on the travel visas. So this is just my opinions that I've been giving you. But as I mentioned, just be confident. You really need to just be confident about the situation. Do World Merit is, we're going to be at the United Nations. So treat our organization as a high-level organization, and expect that if you present it as such, you will be treated with the same respect that other high-level organizations and sponsors and board members, such as and participants in the past, have given World Merit.
Okay.
Hey, Kashin, do you have a question?
Um, yeah, Roger, I have just one question. It's about the process of interview. You know about the process of interview for sustainable growth development, because I just got the first stage and they emailed me. They said that you have 1 week to prepare yourself for the interview. You have many questions that you have to answer all the questions, and you have a specific time. You know any idea about this?
No, no, sure. No, sure. Well, welcome to World Merit, and thank you for applying to Merit 360. The interview online is a website that when you go
Yeah,
there, register your account, and then they'll ask you to, connect to Merit 360 interview. Once you begin the process, it will first begin with a camera test to make sure that you can adequately be recorded and capture the response. With the camera
yeah,
test, that will be repeated until you are satisfied, I think, with that actual the audio and visual of the experience. Once you have accepted that, the next step is the pre-interview. So during the pre-interview, it will ask you questions, and give you the opportunity to get familiar with the recording your question process. That is important because once you record your question, you don't have a second opportunity to go back to it. Once your
yeah,
answer is recorded, it's off to the next question, and you cannot re-record your answer. So there are a few opportunities for you to practice. It's a practice interview. That's what it's actually called,
yeah, yeah.
and
I
it's
mentioned they have
exact.
you practice yourself about the answer the question.
So
They got me about three questions. They say that you have to answer it in the correct way, and you have to practice yourself for the interview.
well, yes. Once you do the practice interview, meaning that you get familiar with the actual recording of the question process, then you can practice as often as you would like before you begin the interview. Now, I can tell you that the interview will probably have 10 questions. I haven't taken it.
Uh-huh.
Joe will be better able to tell you the questions that might be on there. But I can tell you they will ask you questions like, what does merit mean to you? And the sustainable development goals that you selected.
Yeah,
Um,
what's the thing that you applied for and why?
Yes,
The
Joe.
next, yeah.
Joe, have you taken the tell Tashin the questions that he can expect in the interview?
Actually, I just can't slit it as they were asked, but then I would suggest you learn anything around you which is about change. You know, World Merit is that platform which is aimed at bringing the sort of reliefs that the society sought for. So I would just tax you to just open your mind very wide. Any other social intervention, social issues which are very rampant in the system lately, just take it into consideration. You know, there is poverty, there is peace disorders all over. There are some basic issues which are very trendy lately, and you just take them into consideration and be very confident, be in a position to answer them as will be asked. So I just wouldn't be in a position to give you the exact questions that I was asked, because probably they are not the same questions that will be asked you. So I just would love you to cast your mind very wild and maybe be abreast with time and with resilience and with very much of confidence that you can exhibit, you can still go through.
And also they say that you have make
I
eye
guess
contact with
I've
the
made.
camera. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. In the process, you are supposed to make that eye contact with the interviewer, and keeping an eye close with the interviewer suggests that you are giving out everything you are saying out of memory, but then you are not reading from any other material. So keeping an eye contact with the interviewer is very paramount in this interview, and your answers have to be very precise and concise. You just don't have to over exaggerate whichever questions that will be asked. Over exaggerating the questions would probably end you up in trouble. So I would suggest when the question is posed to you, you answer it to the best of your ability. You shouldn't just try in any other way to sound very much impressive. No, even how you keep your composure on the day of interview would even carry you through without necessarily what probably you have to tell them. And just bear in mind, with the very last question, you will be required to take off the headset. So just
What?
bear that
Yeah.
you will be
What?
required to take off the headset. You know,
Uh-huh.
you are going to
Okay. I
answer
agree.
most of the questions
Yeah.
with your head, with the earpiece or the
Yeah.
headset on.
Headphone.
But
Headphone.
with the seventh questions, you will be required to take it off. So you just do well to bear in mind. So when you take that headset off, they will require you to shout very loud with whichever questions that will be posed to you. So I think maybe with all I've said, you will be
Thank
the best.
thank you for information. But
Okay.
there is a certain time for the interview, or should I make schedule for the interview?
I didn't get you. Can you come again with the question you just asked?
Uh, I mean, should I put the time of interview, or they will prepare the interview for me?
With the interview, you can take it at any other time. Though you have booked an appointment, I just don't know whether you have booked an appointment or you have booked a time for the interview. But then, as we speak now, or immediately after this section, you can just log on and take the interview if that will be okay by you. It's not necessarily
Uh-huh.
waiting for an appointed time. You can take it if you feel you are ready. So you can just take it immediately after
Yeah.
this section.
So I have to interview as soon as I find myself
Ready.
okay, all right,
Okay. Yeah. So
great.
I will just throw that
What's
challenge to you to probably take it after this section, and you can make it.
okay? But another question. I'm sorry for for bothering you, but
Oh no,
what's
you are free to ask any question.
yeah, but what's about the making an account? They said you have to make account for the interview, and you have to.
I didn't get your question right. Can you please reframe it?
They said that if you prepare yourself for the interview, you can enter to this link. When I enter to the link in my email, there is you have to create account for the interview. There is two choice: candidate count and another count. What that mean?
Actually, I will propose you go for the individual, and you know there are two sections here. One which talks about an hiring an organization to do that on your behalf, and there is this one which you will take it yourself. And since you are
Uh,
an individual going for the interview, I will suggest you take the individual section. And you know, before you can make the interview, you have to sign up on
uh,
the interview page. Before you know, the link has been provided in the email that was sent you. So what you have to do is to follow the link, sign up for the interview. When you sign up, probably you have this opportunity to go through the dress rehearsal section, where you will be taken through how to go about the interview. So maybe after going through that particular tutorial, when you feel you are ready for the interview, you can equally maybe log on onto the system and take it right away without maybe wasting any further time.
uh-huh. Thank you.
You're welcome, sir.
Okay, well,
Marshall?
thank you for answering that for us. We have a new member, Miss Ju
Julissa.
Julissa from Peru.
Lisa,
Hi.
I see. I'm
Hi,
happy
Julissa.
Julissa is here.
Hi guys. I'm not sure if you were watching me because I somehow had like a blackout here. So I'm in a meeting room. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, we can
Yeah,
hear you and we can see you.
yeah. It's
Great. Do I look great?
Yeah,
Okay.
You
Julissa,
look
I have a
great.
question. What happened to the Ubuntu
Wait
challenge?
a minute. Wait a minute. Wait. You have
Okay.
time. She'll have time to answer some of your questions. Julissa, introduce yourself to World Merit members.
Sorry. I didn't hear you. Sorry, Roger. Did you say
Yes,
something?
please introduce yourself to the World
continue
Merit
introducing
community.
yourself.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I pick up. Yeah, okay. So my name is Julissa Rocha. I'm 26. I'm from Peru, in South America. Now I am actually in my office, so I work as the health and safety supervisor for an Australian engineering company in Lima. I basically work in remote site fields for mining, and I'm mostly involved during the construction phases and commissioning probably of the plants. So that's mainly my work, ensure that all people is safe during the construction phase, and they are back home safe and healthy. So that's what I do here. I also represent the Osenko Foundation. Osenko is the company I work for. So the last year, I've been involved in several proposals and projects that I manage at Donorum in my free time, spare time, on behalf of my company, to make donations and volunteering programs in Peru for basically kids. So last year, before going to the One Young World Summit, I started running a project of an NGO that I hope I can mature this year to support three key issues that I'm concerned about, that are climate change, reduce inequalities, and and social financial inclusion. So I am business administrator as a professional. I'm bachelor's in business management, and yeah, so this year we have some renewable energies projects online with a couple of friends of South America, and we have a lot of work to do.
Okay, great. How is how
Roger,
is
Roger.
yes.
Hi, sorry to
Roger.
interrupt, but I really need to leave. Um,
What?
Hello.
Hello,
Yeah, I
yes.
can hear
I
you.
need to leave. I'm really sorry. But it was fantastic connecting with all of you and to get to know your personal narratives around education and your personal stories and your world met stories, especially. It's quite inspiring. Yes, and I hope to see you connecting with you again in future conferences.
Sure.
Okay,
Sounds
great.
Great.
Well, great. Um, yes, thank you for joining us, and we look forward to having you back on. Thank you for joining us
Definitely.
for this call on quality education, and I hope
Great.
that you have a great
Hello.
New Year, and I'll talk to you again soon. All right?
Yes.
Can I please ask my question?
Wait a moment. Wait a moment. Just got here, so
Bye,
I
guys.
muted the. All right,
yeah.
bye, bye, Sanskruti. I muted you for a reason, for a moment. Let me talk to Julissa before I open it up for you to ask questions. Okay?
Okay, sir.
Okay. So
Okay.
don't unmute. I only muted y'all so that the camera doesn't keep shifting back to your screen while she was speaking. That's the only reason I muted you. So don't worry.
Okay.
When I'm ready to open it up again, I will unmute you. I promise. Okay?
Okay.
All
Okay.
right. Just a moment. All right. Yes, Julissa. Yes, pardon me. As I said, I don't. It's not that I don't want to take your questions. I just don't want the camera to shift back and forth while she's speaking, as it was doing briefly while she was talking.
Okay.
So, Julissa, I know that you have you. Well, let's talk about Merit 360. Have you applied and are you attending?
Yeah, so I'm kind of delayed with my application, but yes, I'm applying for the Goal 11, um, sustainable cities and communities.
All right, that's great. Wow, my my camera, my iPad is low on battery, so I don't know if maybe that's why my video has cut out because I can't facilitate that anymore. So tell us about merit. Tell us about your experience at One Young World. I know our founder and CEO Chris Arnold was there in Bangkok,
Yeah.
and I know I had sent a link to a member from China to connect with you. So
Yeah.
tell us if you connected with her and tell us how it was to be with the World Merit team in Bangkok.
Yeah, great. So, yeah, we had this summit in Bangkok where we're gathering like 1,600 young people, representative from different countries around the world. And yeah, we have a group of meriters there. So it was Stephanie from Mexico, Robin Lewis from Japan. So he's half British and half Japanese. It was Chris, Iris Wang, which is from China. Also was Emma from Canada, and it was me from Peru. So we all meet together because there was an internal workshop where we were discussing how to tackle sustainable development goals, which is probably going to be the main objective of Merit 360. So we have this workshop focused on how young people can address better the tools that we have available to tackle sustainable development goals. And in that way, we can capture and collect some ideas of young leaders from all over the world about the perspective that they have on how to tackle these efficiently. Because we all know that we have the 17 development goals and we have like targets in each of them, but the realities in each community and society are different. So there are some targets that probably will not apply for different countries in the same way. So we need to tackle in a very focused and a specific way. And that it's the point of joining people from all around the world to have a multicultural view and perspective on how to tackle it properly. So when we were discussing about Merit 360 and how we could make like an assessment of what we want to get as an outcome from Merit 360, it's so we are not delaying or discussing just what we like us to do or what we like us to have, because it's not just a talk, it's not just a chat or a discussion, it's like an action plan. So we all know that Work Merit, it's promoting the take action. So if we really want to make a change, we need to stop just discussing or just planning or dreaming about something and start taking action, like start working for that. And this is what we aim to do in Merit 360. So involve these 360 young leaders that have this expectation and great ideas and put it in a work action plan that we are going to effectively make a reality. So it was a really nice experience. I think that Merit 360 is going to have like the same impact in all these young people, because you have like an inspiration, you have like a motivation, but when you find people that could be younger than you or maybe your same age, and they are doing so fantastic projects around the world, impacting positively in different countries, with support of different companies, or maybe just starting with a team in their area, it's like you feel that you can do it. It's like I know that sometimes when we start with an idea, it's just you're alone, but then you meet fantastic people like our Work Merit community, and we can start working together and make something wonderful. So I think that it's going to be a great experience, and I have great expectations about Merit 360 as well. Mm. Yes. Yeah, so yes, I have a travelers group because for my job I do flight a lot. As mining, we have a lot of operations around the world, and we have basically many projects here in Peru. So yeah, during 2015 I was in North America and South America and Asia. So I had the chance to see Mexico and the Dominican Republic, and well, in South America I've been in Brazil and Argentina besides Peru, and in Asia I was in Thailand, in China, and Japan, which has been probably the most exciting trip that I have had this last year. So it was a new continent for me. And in 2016, I would love to be in United States for Married 360, and also, well, I'm married, so I'm planning with my husband to go to Europe. I have, I have to study in Europe, in Italy, so I want to make some Europe trip with my husband this year. I hope we can do it. And this experience is just not, like a tour that you do. So being a tourist, it's like something very simple. And as most of the stuff that we do with my husband, we are very deep on the experiences we have. So we like to interact with different cultures, and we try to live it deeply. So as a traveler, you have more interaction in their environment, in the country you arrive, and this also allows you to make like a lasting connections with people. You make new friends that are really good friends, and you can learn about the new culture you are arriving to. You start to respect it, understanding, and you can share. It becomes part of you. So yeah, I think that 2016 is going to be a very surprising year. I'm going to expect to have a lot of new people in my life, and I hope to have new partners to my new projects in mind. I think this year is in Canada, and next year is in Colombia. I mean, you mean the environmental. Yeah, because you have a one-year work summit in this year in Canada, and on May they have the environmental one-year work summit in Arizona. Yeah. Oh, that's great. Not in Lima. We have a very warm weather, in fact. So, and now we are in summer. So, career. I mean, business. Doing business. Yeah, I love my work. I have lots of experience. It's very dynamic. As a business administrator, it's not like you are always involved in engineering, but it was a great experience for me. So my company really supports me and have gave me a lot of tools to improve my development in the company. And we have an option to go to USA to a project next year. So let's see how it goes. Okay. I think he can hear you.
Hello. Hello. I guess I can speak now. Yeah, Julius, I'm very much aware you applied for the Ubuntu challenge, which along the line you even engaged me to maybe put up a piece for you. I
Yeah.
just want to know with the extent to which the application has gotten to. Are you still coming to Ghana for the Ubuntu challenge?
So you applied for Ubuntu?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And your question is?
My question is, I'm very much aware you applied and you put that wonderful piece together, and I even shared it on Facebook and to other people. I'm just asking the extent to which that application has gotten to. Are you still making it to Ghana for the Ubuntu challenge, or uh, you just applied for the sake of it?
I applied for the challenge, but I received like a notification that I was not shortlisted, so I'm not longer in the contest. So I'm not sure if it's still open. I think that probably there's a short list of people that will be, like select for the challenge.
Okay, and listen to you. It seems you articulated your views very well. I'm just pleading with you. Maybe in the nearby future, we form this cooperation whereby we will be exchanging ideas, because I want to have that close working relationship with the organization. Listen to you very carefully. I strongly believe there are aspects in your submissions which we also do embark on here. So probably going forward, I think we have to get in constant touch and exchange ideas, and together we can make this world a better place for dwelling.
Yeah, sounds great. Please contact me. I have no much.
Mm,
I haven't had too much time this month since I came back because I've been kind of busy with some personal life stuff, and now I'm getting now involved with work. But sure, we can keep in contact. Sure, absolutely. Thank you. My pleasure.
okay. And one last question. I misplaced my phone and I have lost your contact. So can you please message me, give me a hi on my phone?
Sure,
just
sure.
to re-establish contact with you
I will
again.
send you some messages on War Merit. Absolutely.
WhatsApp. Okay, okay,
Okay,
okay,
great.
okay.
I will make
And
African.
is Roger on the line? It seems Roger is inactive. Please, Roger, are you on?
Yeah, sure.
Roger is on. So basically, please, have you heard about the Global Cultural Festival, which is to be held over here in Ghana? And let me use this opportunity to tell you more about the Global Cultural Festival. The Global Cultural Festival is one program which seeks to bring together all meriters from across the globe, because we feel bringing meriters across the globe to Ghana would inure to the benefit of all, because we are going to use that avenue or that platform to learn each other's culture. We are going to have that close working relationship. We would, in a way, try and come out with one voice which we would preach to the world in the business we have carved for ourselves, just to make the place a better place for dwelling. So the global festival is now under the preparatory stage. The stakeholders who are to organize it are making that frantic effort by way of putting measures in place to make it a very successful one. And when the approval is finally given by the headquarters and probably by World Merit Ghana, we are going to make it very known on the World Merit platform, so that you would also be in a pole position to help us with the advertisement and the publicity that it comes with it, so that together we will just woo other meriters from across the globe to visit this memorable event in Ghana. And we are doing this with one aim. It seems in the past, people have that preconceived mindset about Africans, that we are underdeveloped people and we are mentally retarded people. No, that era is past, and I believe with the timely intervention by World Merit and other social organizations, that thing has become a thing of the past, and we are using this very avenue, this very platform, to preach to the world, regardless of our geographical location, regardless of our race, regardless of our color, and regardless of our ethnic groupings, we can still come together as one people with a common goal. And when we are united in this regard, we just don't think we will avail ourselves for any other person to invade us and destroy us totally. So we are putting this piece together just to bring togetherness to the World Merit community, have a common voice, and maybe project and promote whatever World Merit has for the world. So this is exactly what the Global Cultural Festival takes into consideration.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I think that you should put something in the platform. Maybe someone could be interested as well and join.
Okay. Okay. Roger, are you on?
Yeah, we're about to leave. Mhm. Hey.
Yo, keep me at the top. Hi, Roger.
Nice.
Hi, Roger. Hi, Roger. Yes, this is the Graft, Ghana.
Hey.
I'm in a dark room, so let me on my light so that you can see my face. Okay. Yes.
I hope so. So guys, in fact, I'm on the office. I should get back to work. I'm like still in time. They are very flexible, but not that one. Yeah, I know him. He helped me a lot with some cards that I had to prepare. So yeah, I know him. He was very supportive.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I lost my connection in internet. It was weekend. Access to internet. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
George, say hello to the World Marriage community.
Hey, that's lovely.
Oh, which we have. What for can we really okay to me.
Right. Okay, hello
Yeah, Roger.
guys. I need to leave now, so it was my pleasure to share with you all. I wish you all the best for Marriage 360. Hope you can fundraise and you can be part of such a great experience. So, see you there. Hope so.
Okay, see you.
Bye, guys.
It seems we've lost the graft in the process.
What?
We've lost the graft in the process.
I think so.
Oh, that's rather unfortunate. So, Roger, the graft and myself are putting together a peace campaign because this year marks our election year. So, probably we will fall on you.
Yeah, I'm about to going to because tomorrow I have exam of obstetric, so it's be difficult. Okay, express. Uh-huh.
Hello.
I think Roger
It seems we lost
dismissed.
Roger. Yeah, we lost Roger in the process. And please,
Okay.
which country are you representing?
From Iraq.